Welcome back to MetLife Stadium in the New Jersey Meadowlands. A balmy 46-degree day, winds not a factor. Jet head coach Rex Ryan telling us that he was hoping for much colder weather to make things even more uncomfortable for Miami, but it's a mild day. And there is Joe Philbin in his second season as head coach of the Dolphins, one-time offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Jets have won the toss. They have decided to defer. Miami will receive with Marcus Thigpen back deep, averaging 24 yards. A return second-year man from Indiana, awaiting the kick from Nick Folk. Spent 3 years with Dallas. This is fourth year as a member of the Jets. Miami starting the season 3-0, including road wins at Indianapolis and at Cleveland, then lose 4 straight. They have dropped 2 of the last 3 as Thigpen runs it out. And he's taken down shy of the 20, goes for 23, but you saw that flag come flying to Lon Landry on the tackle. Referee is Mike Carey. In his 19th year as an NFL ref.
During the return, holding receiving team number 56, half the distance to the goal, first down.
It is on backup linebacker Jonathan Freeney, so they'll move it back as Ryan Tannehill takes the field. As you can see, sacked 44 times. Rich, that's the most in the NFL.
Yeah, and it really, I think it affects everything he does, even his confidence, his ability to step up in that pocket and trust the protection.
Miami starts out from the 8-yard line. The running back is Lamar Miller, who did not have a good performance last week against Carolina. Only 8 yards on 10 carries, and Tannehill throws a bullet underneath that is caught by the tight end Charles Clay, but it is just a 4-yard advance. Miami's offensive line welcoming back Mike Pouncey. Missed the last 2 games due to illness. Rex Ryan saying his biggest concern, the explosiveness of wide receiver Mike Wallace, who has 49 receptions for the season. They go double tight end with Charles Clay, Deion Sims, but in the backfield for the second down and 6. Miller trying to make the turn and gets to the marker. Sheldon Richardson able to make the stop. Let's see, they'll take a long look. Might be a first down. The Jets defensively have been superb. Muhammad Wilkerson with 10 sacks. Linebackers Calvin Pace having a big year, 7 sacks for Calvin. And in the secondary, Ed Reed in his 3rd game as a member of the Jets. It's been a struggle, and it's also been a difficult time for Antonio Cromartie, who continues to play through that painful hip injury. It is a first down for Miami. We're just underway. Once again, Miller, the running back to the right of Tannehill. Tannehill looking right through left and was nearly picked off. The pass intended for the wide receiver Brian Hartline, and Dean Milliner, a rookie from Alabama, had a shot at it.
Yeah, these are throws that Ryan Tannehill has to make. He's late with his eyes. He starts to his right, and then he wheels back to the left. That's too difficult a throw to make when you're not looking at Brian Hartline. Trying to do too much with his eyes.
And Jet coaches say that he will look one way and stay that way, not go to the other side. And they feel that he can do more in terms of how he looks at the field. Miller on the handoff.
Really, with both of these quarterbacks, Marv, I think what you're talking about is really a half-field read. They're not reading the entire field. I think both coordinators have tried to scale it back. You cut the field in half. It's man and zone reads. It's a high-low read. But you're not going to see Geno Smith or even Ryan Tannehill, like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, read the entire field. It's not that setup right now offensively.
And this crowd urging on the Jet defensive unit. 3rd down and 6. Once again, Tannehill out of the shotgun. Tannehill has the first down. The catch made by Rashard Matthews, a second-year man from Nevada. Antonio Cromartie is there for the tackle.
Well, the ball has to come out quick, and Tannehill is doing a fine job of that early in this game, getting the ball to Rashard Matthews. You can't afford to hold the football against this Jets defensive line. They've generated 32 sacks. Of course, Miami has already given up 44 sacks. They have some issues up front.
So another first down for Miami. 3 minutes in, first quarter.
28, go!
Now a short set and the completion. Mike Wallace cutting across the middle, breaks tackles, and then runs it out of bounds. Nice moves by Wallace.
Well, Cromartie is really playing off. You're going to see him the right part of your screen. He has really given Mike Wallace a big-time cushion. And I'm not so sure, Marv, how healthy Antonio Cromartie is. He missed practice time this week. You see him kind of running gingerly there across the formation. You just don't see the explosiveness. That's a good matchup to watch. Wallace has a lot of cushion between himself and Cromartie.
21-yard gain. And one of the problems for the Jets is that they have, and we saw that last week against the Ravens, giving up the deep ball. Here's Miller running hard. Gets inside the 45. David Harris, inside linebacker, makes the tackle. Pick up a 4.
Well, the Jets, the Dolphins have to have some balance offensively, I think, to have a chance in this game. They're not built to throw the ball 40 times. They've got to be able to run it effectively on the early downs with Lamar Miller.
And the Jets have been so effective against the run. They average, what, 2.9 per carry, which is unheard of. It's one of the best rushing defenses in the history of the NFL as Tannehill looks to his left, and he fires. It is incomplete. The pass intended for Marlon Moore, who had very little room along the sideline. D. Milliner on the coverage.
Well, you've got to be able to make this throw. I mean, D. Milliner, he's going to get beat. He pauses just for a second, just enough for Marlon Moore to run by. Watch where this ball lands. I mean, if you're Ryan Tannehill, yeah, he does get hit. Of course, that affects it, but you've got to give these receivers a chance to make a play.
So the ball at the Jet 44-yard line, 3rd down and 6. This is the 9th play of the drive. Miami starting back at its 8-yard line. Tannehill looking left and stays that way, able to complete for the first down as Hartline, the Dolphins' leading receiver, making his 54th catch, going right at the rookie Milliner.
And they're going after Milliner because they want to stay away from Cromartie. And the thing that Brian Hartline always does a nice job of is run these return routes or these comebacks on the boundary. You can just tell that Tannehill and Hartline have a rapport, a good feel for one another and how he's going to run certain routes.
That's a gain of 13. Now they line up in the I formation for the first time for this 1st and 10.
You can see Cromartie. He has help over the top from the safety.
And from the 31, Tannehill with lots of time, pumping and now in trouble. Running, he runs very well, as he did last week against Carolina. David Harris makes the stop, and Tannehill picked up 5.
Well, sometimes you just got to be able to throw it over the top, and the middle of the field is going to be wide open. The Jet safeties are shallow. And look at Hartline. He goes right by the safety. I mean, there's a touchdown there if Tannehill will just give him a chance and stay with him. Things happen quick, but boy, you've got a guy like Hartline screaming to the post, you've got to give him a chance.
Tannehill began his college career as a wide receiver. We talked about that with him yesterday. I said, is that what led to the good running? He said, no, he was just naturally very skilled in terms of running the football. Mike Wallace on that short hitch picked up 6 and a first down.
Yeah, and Wallace is really starting to come on now. He's 49 catches coming into today's game. I get the sense that Tannehill is starting to get a feel for what this guy is capable of doing, especially in the vertical passing game. They've got to continue to feature him and give Wallace chances down the field.
But you often see Tannehill either overthrowing or underthrowing Wallace.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just got to trust it. You've got to cut it loose and let Mike Wallace run under it.
All right, this time a flip to Miller. Lamar Miller. Does he get in? He went to the pylon. A flag is down. No indication on the field. Apparently did not cross the goal line, but there is a penalty marker. Lamar Miller showing his speed.
Offense number 42 blocking downfield. 10-yard penalty is still first down.
So to bring it back, it's on the tight end, Charles Clay.
Oh, that's too bad because they had a great looking screen there. And Charles Clay is going to release, get downfield, and he's blocking on the second level. You see Joe Philbin, he's not at all happy with that call.
Would have been a 17-yard play. So it back at the 30, it is a 1st and 20 for Miami. They have had the ball since the start of the game. Miller in the backfield. Tannehill pumps, find anybody, and he's taken down. Sacked for the 45th time this season, Quentin Coples. The outside linebacker, second-year man from North Carolina, comes up with his second sack of the year.
Well, you just can't hold the ball against this defense. You can't afford to take that second or third hit. The ball has to come out on time, or something bad is probably going to happen. You have to get it out quick with the offensive line in front of you, and especially against this Jets pass rush that is very, very good up front.
Loss of 3 sets it back to a 2nd and 23. Stutter step move by Miller. Not much there. David Harris was. And a flag down. So the penalties flowing here in this opening quarter.
Offside. Defense number 93. 5-yard penalty is still second down.
South the nose tackle, Kendrick Ellis. The Jets are number 4 for most penalties in the NFL.
Well, last time we did a game here, what did we see? 20 penalties from the Jets, and of course we saw a bunch of them up front with this defensive line that tries to jump the snap count.
How about the fact they lead the league in pre-snap penalties, which is not a good thing.
It's discipline.
Here's the rookie from Florida, Mike Gillislee, in his first carry in the NFL. He did dress one game, did not get on the field, but he's out there because of the injury suffered by Daniel Thomas, and Gillislee picks up 4.
I just think getting Mike Pouncey back this week, Marv, makes a world of difference for this offensive line, for the running game, and even for Ryan Tannehill in terms of communication and protection. Remember, now this is an offensive line that has struggled. They're without some key players, obviously 2 starters in Jonathan Martin and Richie Incognito, but getting Pouncey back in the middle of that offensive line is a huge help for the Dolphins.
And now Marcus Thigpen is back on the field. This is the 14th play of the drive. Tannehill looking end zone, then goes short range. He sidearmed it to Thigpen, and he is stopped. Picked up a yard on the play. Mario Davis, David Harris combined to make the tackle. And now the field goal unit will come on. So Miami opens up this first quarter, and they own the football. Just 6 minutes remaining in the first.
14 plays, 69 yards. They stall. It's a good stop there at the end by the Jets.
41-yard attempt by Caleb Sturgis. It is no good. Sturgis coming in 20 for 26, and he misses from 41. No score as the Jets go to the offense. Rich, how about 15 plays, 69 yards? They had it for 9 minutes, 10 seconds. They come up with zip.
Well, that's a terrible way to finish the drive. And again, that's been a problem, a kind of a reoccurring theme for this Miami offense the last 4 or 5 weeks.
So the Jets start out from their 31. Geno Smith is taken down. Olivier Vernon now with 7.5 sacks.
Well, Miami does a nice job. You're going to see Vernon. He's down the bottom of the screen. He reads pass. He just is going to beat DeBrickashaw Ferguson around the edge. And again, protection has been a problem for Geno Smith as well. They've given up 38 sacks already.
In the 5 home starts, he's won 4 and lost 1. But you go back over the last 6 games, it has been brutal. Only 1 touchdown pass. He's been intercepted 10 times. And last week, a very poor 9 for 22. This time he flips out to the right side. He has the tight end, Cumberland. And we check out the lineups to look at the Jets offensively. The center, Nick Mangold, was a question mark with an injured wrist, but he is in there. Backs and receivers, another questionable for today. Santonio Holmes, who's been playing hurt throughout the season with a foot injury, is also in the starting lineup. Geno Smith, the rookie from West Virginia. I think struggle would be a very kind word when we talk about Geno, the way things have gone in recent weeks. Now he has protection and he fires. It is way off. Intended for David Nelson. And he's hearing the boos immediately.
Well, we talked with Marty Morningweg, the offensive coordinator, on Friday, and one of the things that he said that really kind of struck me, he said, we have no precision at all right now in the passing game, and we've got to find a way to get it back. They look out of sync already on the first possession.
So the punting unit has come on. Ryan quickly will boot it to Marcus Thigpen. Thigpen is back at his 25 as we come up on 4.5 remaining in this first quarter with no score. Miami with the ball for a good portion of the quarter as the Jets go 3 and out. That was nearly blocked. And Thigpen calls for the fair catch. So Miami gets it back, a 39-yard punt. Back to the New Jersey Meadowlands in a moment. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon from MetLife Stadium. Miami with the ball once again. They've had it for 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Ryan Tannehill, 6 of 8, 53 yards on that earlier drive, which led to the missed field goal from 41 yards away. Dolphins start at their 33-yard line. Miller in the backfield. Miller looks to go wide, trying to turn it and could not. Good job by the Jets defensively, led by inside linebacker David Harris.
And I think in this first couple series, you want to evaluate what's going on defensively for the Jets. And as I look at it, Marv, Antonio Cromartie, remember now, last week he left the Baltimore game in the fourth quarter with a hip injury. Missed practice time this week, and just watch his gait right there. He, to me, does not look 100%. And remember now, I've got Mike Wallace. Anytime I got Cromartie matched up on Wallace with no safety help over the top, and I'm Ryan Tannehill, I'm taking that shot.
And the Jets have been torched with long bombs, particularly last week. That is incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Charles Clay. Set for an update. Let's go to our New York studios. Here's JV.
Shannon, Houston needs some good news.
5 plays, 52-yard drive, capped off by Ben Tate, 8-yard TD run, 7-0, and they just picked up Tom Brady, headed in the end zone again.
Back to Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
All right, guys, 3rd down and 12. Yes, the Texans with 9 straight losses. Ed Reed, who is now a part of the Jet secondary, was there for 7 of those losses. He has yet to be on the winning side this year. Over the first 2 games, the Jets losing. Tannehill fires and it's complete for the first down. He had Clay over the middle. Picked up 17 and a first down for Miami.
Well, Clay has been productive in a lot of ways that people didn't anticipate coming into the season. Remember now, Dustin Keller gets hurt in the preseason, and Charles Clay has come in and been really outstanding. Already has 46 catches. He's been really, really good for Tannehill in the middle of the field.
Been a very pleasant surprise in his 3rd season out of Tulsa. First down for Miami. Miller, gang tackle. Well, this Thanksgiving weekend, whether you're a parent, teacher, student, or fan, there's a fun and easy way for you to hop on the NFL Play 60 bus to get on board and join the movement that has helped millions of children get active and healthy. Visit NFLrush.com/play60. And the rookie Mike Gillislee has come on for the 2nd time in his NFL debut. Earlier in this first quarter, he ran for a 4-yard gain. Just under 3 minutes to go in the first with no score. Tannehill did not like what he was looking at and took the timeout. On a topic the Dolphins are not looking to talk too much about. The latest on the Jonathan Martin Richie Incognito episode. Now, yesterday, Martin's season officially ended with the Dolphins. They placed him on what is called the reserve non-football illness list. So he'll be paid his entire salary, including all 9 games that he'll end up missing. As for Incognito this past Friday, he agreed to extend his 4-game ban for 2 more weeks in exchange for getting paid for 4 of those 6 games, as Tannehill was able to complete to Clay right at the marker. Incognito could return for the final 2 games if that all holds up. But all is cloudy until the NFL's appointed investigator, Ted Wells, finishes the fact-finding of the alleged incident, including threats of bullying by Incognito and reportedly other teammates. So the question remains, what will come out of all of this? But Rich, there's a culture of hazing that, as you know, does go on in some NFL locker rooms. Get to that in a moment. Lamar Miller in the backfield. It's a 3rd down and 1, so it's short of the first. And again, they come up short as Clinton Coples was able to get to Miller. Rich, what's your experience with this in your years with the Raiders and other teams?
Well, if there's anything good to come out of this, Marv, I really think the league is going to look at it, and hopefully teams will look at it. That gentleman right there, though, Joe Philbin, I think has done an outstanding job. Not a lot of teams or head coaches would have opened up their entire building to an outside investigator during the season. I mean, it has to be a distraction for everybody, and yet they refuse to allow this to be an excuse for their performance.
Well, they will go for it on 4th down, but actually, it's an NFL investigator that the Dolphins said they also would use as Tannehill fires and it is incomplete. Hartline, the intended receiver, and the Jets take over. Dean Milliner on the coverage. We'll continue our chat when we come back. Jets take over at their 43-yard line. How about these numbers?
Ugly. The Jets have to get something going. They threw on all 3 plays to start the game, and Rex knows the issues that he has with his young quarterback, that they've got to get this guy into a rhythm, and maybe you start by running the football a little bit with Ivory and Powell.
Allow Powell is in the lineup here. Takes the flip, looks for the hole, and then is able to pound his way across the 45, picked up 3. Programming reminder, Friday on CBS, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Robin Thicke perform live when LL Cool J hosts the Grammy nominations concert. That's Friday at 10, 9 Central, only CBS. 2nd down and 7 for the Jets. They've dropped their last 2, 3 of their last 4. They have not won a game since back on November the 3rd. Not a good opening series for Geno Smith, who is now in the empty backfield and completes for the 1st down. Kellen Winslow, the 9-year veteran out of Miami, on the catch for 12.
And this is a good set for them, an empty set. It really helps define the coverage a little easier and quicker for Geno Smith, and that's really the matchup that you want. You know, the tight end on the linebacker, and Winslow has, throughout his career, won those battles.
Now Chris Ivory, who was a question mark because of a sprained ankle, takes the handoff, tries the right side, and tough to bring down. It appeared Miami had him, but he picked up some additional yardage, and finally Vernon was able to get to him. But a 5-yard gain as this first quarter comes to an end with no score. We'll be back to the Meadowlands after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The second quarter, and the Jets with a 2nd and 6 at the Miami 38-yard line. The completion, Greg Salas, recent addition to the squad, right off the practice squad of the Philadelphia Eagles, stopped by Philip Wheeler, but a flag is down. Salas, originally a 4th-round pick of the St. Louis Rams, has been with New England.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 66. 10-yard penalty is still 2nd down.
Well, it's on the right guard, Willie Colon.
Well, it's been hit or miss for Geno Smith so far this season. He actually got off to a pretty good start, Marv. The first 5 games, they were 3-2. He was taking care of the football. But since then, it has been ugly for Geno Smith the last 6 games. Look at that, 10 interceptions, just 1 touchdown. We talk about ball security and how important it is for a young quarterback. He better get it figured out in a hurry or they're going to run him out of town. We saw it happen with Mark Sanchez those first couple of years. With a defensive coach like Rex Ryan, he has very little tolerance for young quarterbacks who continually turn it over.
And out of the gun, Smith fires, and he's off the mark. Pass intended for Salas. There was some talk during the course of the week, or questions as to whether Rex Ryan might make a switch to Matt Sims, who is the backup quarterback, played well in preseason. The third quarterback inactive once again, the veteran David Garrard, but he says no, we're staying with Geno Smith.
Well, I think that speaks volumes about how he feels about the depth that they have, or the lack of depth they have at the quarterback position. I think they would have sat him down if they were convinced that they had a better option at this point. Matt Sims is inexperienced. He's never started. And as you pointed out, Garrard hasn't played a game since December of 2010.
All right, Smith had some time. Now in trouble, and just tosses it away. Can you foresee disenchantment in the Jet locker room between the defense and the offense? We'll get back to that in a moment.
Yeah, go ahead and run it. I mean, you look at Geno Smith, we can criticize him all we want. Go ahead and freeze it right about there. I mean, where are you going to throw the football? I mean, everybody's covered. It's a 3-man route. They're rushing 4, and they're dropping 6 in coverage. And he does the next best thing. He throws it away and avoids a sack. They've got to get better around Geno Smith. We talked about a lack of top 10 talent. They don't have it at running back. Certainly don't have it at tight end or wide receiver. They've got plenty of work to do in the offseason.
Here's the punt by Quigley, and nearly gets it blocked again. Marcus Thigpen under it, and calls for the fair catch at the 9-yard line. It's a 39-yard punt. So Miami in possession. Back in a moment. Dolphins start out from their 10-yard line. The Jets and the Dolphins are scoreless here in the opening minute of the second quarter. Running back is Lamar Miller. And Miller, following the blocker, able to cut his way up to the 15, met by Kendrick Ellis.
Well, Ryan Tannehill has to make them all count. And I think at times he tries to be too perfect when he throws to the receivers. He tries to throw the perfect ball as opposed to just getting it out there and letting them run under it. Particularly this one here to Brian Hartline. I mean, you don't get that many opportunities. You don't get them that wide open in this league, and when you do, you've got to be able to hit them.
Last week against Carolina, Tannehill 28 of 42. Again, it's to the ground with Miller. They lost that game to the Panthers 20-16. Panthers coming from behind. Miami led 16-6 at the half. Tannehill 310 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. They had nothing going on the ground. I touched on it earlier. Miller just 10 yards on 8 carries.
Really a tale of 2 halves when you watched the game last week against Carolina. They played really well offensively in the first half, and they struggled in the second half. Struggled to convert third downs, which has been a problem for this team all season.
It's a 3rd and 2. Tannehill from the gun. Off the roll, has a first down as he connects with Mike Wallace. He's gone, for the most part, short range to this point with Wallace. Demario Davis, the inside linebacker, on the stop, and that's an advance of 5.
Off the scramble a little bit. Nice job by Wallace using that left hand. He throws Cromartie off him on the press coverage. Wallace has played a lot better here the last 5 or 6 weeks. I think he's been in a number of different systems, 3 different coordinators in the last 3 years. I think he finally feels comfortable in this offense.
First down for the Dolphins, and the inside handoff. Miller able to break tackles, and a good run right to the yard marker. DeJuan Landry, the free safety, up to make the stop. He's just short of a first down. So he's run well against the best rush defense in the NFL.
Yeah, and he has the ability to get on the edge. And in talking to Rex Ryan on Friday, he said, look, we've got to treat Lamar Miller like we treat Buffalo's C.J. Spiller. We've got to set the edge, force him back up inside where he doesn't want to go, and he wants to use his speed to get around the corner.
2nd and a yard. off the play action. Tannehill able to complete to the tight end Clay, who came back for it, and it's a first down for Miami. Set for an update, JB and Shannon.
Marv, speaking of tight ends, Shannon, Gronk is pretty good, huh?
He's back. Tom Brady finds Rob Gronkowski, 23 yards for the touchdown. Gronk's fourth straight game with a TD, 10-7, Texans on top.
And back to the quarterback in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That would be Marv Albert, Rich Gannon.
All right, thank you. There's one quarterback in the booth. I'm just alongside. First down for Miami at their 36-yard line. Miller, this time wrapped and hauled down by Leger Duzable. 6-year man out of Central Florida. No gain on the play. Miami Dolphins with not, let's say, one of the better offensive lines in the NFL now without Jonathan Martin, it's incognito, so they have Ryan McKinney, Nate Garner, Mike Ponce is back, John Jerry, Tyson Clabo.
I really think the tackles, Marv, have to play well in this one. Brian McKinley on the left side, Tyson Clabo have to do a good job against this Jets defensive line. 2nd and 10 at the 36. Tannehill in trouble. And Tannehill running for the first down and more, as he did last week. Running well. Looked like they had him back behind the line, instead an 18-yard gain. A really nice job by Tannehill, sensing the pressure and stepping back up inside and then pulling it down and running for the first down. He is more than capable of making a few first downs each week with his legs. A very good athlete, just good anticipation here. Has two hands on the ball in the pocket, gets out, and then he protects himself at the end.
First down at the Jet 46. Thigpen returns to the backfield. He's been spotted.
Go!
And it's Thigpen straight ahead. Marcus Thigpen, only 5'9", about 195 pounds, in his second season out of Indiana. Has not carried the ball very much this year. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, it's JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher with all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a special preview of the Denver-Kansas City game from Jim Nance and Phil Simms coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 2nd down and 6 as Lamar Miller returns to the backfield. Tannehill angles it. And another Miami first down. The catch by Brian Hartline. That's a 13-yard gain.
Well, they found a matchup that they really like against the Jets secondary. D. Milner, the rookie, is really struggling, regardless of whether it's Wallace or Hartline right now. If you're Ryan Tannehill, you've got to keep going after number 27.
Hartline with his second catch of the half. Miller remains in the backfield, and a first down for the Dolphins at the Jet 29. Tannehill getting good protection and then has to throw it away. They started to come. Getting back to the subject of Martin incognito, Rich, is it possible that coaches were aware of some of this and took the viewpoint of, well, boys will be boys, and let it go?
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second, Marv. He misses. At times he's got opportunities. He misses Rashard Matthews there, but I really think that what happened in the locker room, Marv, was an isolated incident. I really do. I think Joe Philbin has done an outstanding job with this group. I think he's been very steady and consistent with his message throughout the entire process. He's not going to waver or get away from his core beliefs and his values as a head coach.
But we have to wait and see as to what details come out off the investigation, as Miller is hit for a loss of 2. Mario Davis is right there.
I'm really convinced that Joe Philbin's trying to build the program the right way, despite what happened between Martin and Incognito. You look at their first 2 possessions. I mean, look at that, 15 plays, 69 yards. Another good one here. They've been staying in manageable situations in third down. Not at this particular point at 3rd and 12, but done a good job moving the ball between the 20s.
Tannehill out of the gun. Here they come. he leaps one. Was that deflected? It's picked off. He took a hit as he threw. That rainbow pass was not his intent, and Antonio Cromartie comes up with his third interception. Big hit from Muhammad Wilkerson that led to that bad pass.
Yeah, certainly pressure gets it done here, but I would have expected more from Mike Wallace. You got to make sure that Antonio Cromartie doesn't come down with it.
Antonio Cromartie a moment ago, picking off his third interception. He's been playing through that hip injury. Pro Bowl quarterback last season for the second time in his career. So the Jets take over. They have Chris Ivory in the backfield. Last week we saw all kinds of wildcat formations as Ivory, with some nice moves, gets across the 30-yard line. To this point, no wildcat, no chicanery on the part of the Jets. Well, Thursday on CBS, the Victoria's Secret models reveal all to Robin Williams in a sexy new Crazy Ones. That's Thursday at 9, 8 Central, only CBS. How about time of possession? Miami has had it for 18.5 minutes. The Jets took 3.5 minutes.
It'll be fresh in the second half.
And here is Smith firing downfield, and it is incomplete, intended for the tight end, Jeff Cumberland.
It's kind of unusual. They're going to roll Geno Smith to his right and throw all the way back across the field to his left. Kind of a dangerous throw. He actually puts a decent ball there. Cumberland would have helped himself if he just would have kept running.
Rich, last week in the game against the Ravens, we saw quite a bit of Josh Cribbs, who can throw the ball, as we have seen on a number of occasions back to his days with the Browns, and saw that since he's come to the Jets. But they're staying with just the conventional formation. While Powell comes up short of a first down. Deion Jordan, defensive end, makes the stop.
Well, that was really a conservative call now on third down, wasn't it? I mean, I think it speaks volumes about maybe the lack of confidence that they have in their passing game with Geno Smith.
I started to get into it before, but can you foresee disenchantment eventually, or even now in the Jet locker room, between defense and offense? The defensive guys playing so well, the offense in particular, quarterback Geno Smith playing so poorly. Can that lead to grumbling and finger pointing?
It can, and I've been a part of it where, the offense really struggles to generate any points. The defense is playing well enough to keep you in games with a chance to win.
Flag is down as Thigpen returns across the 40-yard line. Nice return. And it's Josh Cribbs trying to make that tackle, was shaken up, but he's back on his feet. A 50-yard punt, but a 24-yard return plus a penalty.
Illegal formation, offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. That penalty being enforced at the end of the run. First down, timeout.
So the penalty announced by Mike Carey, and they will adjust. We'll be right back. Rich, can you imagine walking out of your house like that?
It's like my third grade math teacher.
He apparently is self-proclaimed. He calls himself Captain Jet. I know Fireman Ed would be very upset.
Jealous.
Lamar Miller, and he is gang tackled.
It's amazing, Marv, that we've been talking about time of possession, and the Dolphins have had the ball 34 plays here in the first half, and they've got nothing to show for it. They've missed some opportunities. They've gotten close, but they haven't been able to finish. And again, we've talked about that at the beginning of the show, the fact that they've struggled down in the red zone, and they have not been able to finish drives. You look at those first 3 possessions, not the type of results Joe Philbin's looking for.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in this first half. Little fake to the run, and then the pass for Hartline and a first down for Miami. The left corner, D. Milliner, on the tackle, but it's good for 17 yards.
Boy, D. Milliner is having a rough first half. He's struggling right now. Going to run a little in route with Hartline. You just see Milliner. He he's not able to hang with Hartline. Really good anticipation by Tannehill.
Now Mike Wallace, top of your screen flank to the right. I keep feeling there will be an explosion on the part of Wallace. It's been very conservative to this point in terms of firing the long ball. Well, there is an open Wallace at the 20 for another first down.
It's amazing that the respect that Cromartie. Watch Cromartie at the top. He's going to turn and run, and he loses Mike Wallace. I mean, he doesn't want to get beat deep. He doesn't want to be embarrassed by Wallace running by, and you can tell that Cromartie is not 100%. He's asking for safety help over the top.
That's a 15-yard gain and another Miami first down. Still no score. For Miller. Miller, using his speed, gets inside the 10, and Miami on a roll. It'll be a first and goal. Picked up 13. The tackle by David Harris.
Remember now, they ran a similar screen in the first quarter that got called back because of an illegal block downfield by Charles Clay. Not this time. And one way to take the edge off of this pass rush is to mix in screens every now and then.
First and goal down at the 7-yard line. Miller is the running back. Still no score with just under 4 left in the half. And a quick moving first half. Not much happening, particularly from the Jet point of view. This is Miller working his way inside the 5. Muhammad Wilkerson making the stop.
One thing that Lamar Miller is doing a much better job of this week is he's been more decisive. You know, he's smacking it up in there, even if it's just for 2 or 3. There were too many negative runs last week because of penetration, and he reversed field a couple times and had some big losses. And you're not seeing as many of the negative runs here so far for the Dolphins.
Second and goal at the 4. Now the rookie Mike Gillislee has come on. Gillislee gets the call, and he drives. No indication. He is just short of the goal line. Picked up 3.
I think his knee is going to be down just short of the goal line. Again, strong side zone run. He winds it back, and I think right about, you see that right knee just before it crosses the goal line. They're not blocking the corner. He's able to come off, and he's the one that prevents Gillislee from sneaking in.
Miami has done a very good job in the running game. Another 30 yards, 13 carries. Miller's back in there. Third and goal. Charles Clay just short. Clay, the tight end or H-back, getting the call and just short of the goal line.
Man, that was a huge stop by that Jets defensive line. Look at the penetration right on the left side of that offensive line. You're going to see Nate Garner. He gets walked back. Penetration kills you in short yardage and goal line situations.
All right, so the decision by Joe Philbin. I would think you have to go for it here. 2-minute warning. We'll be right back. 4th and inches as we resume the running backs Miller and Gillislee. And now Tannehill drops back to the shotgun. The Dolphins are going for the touchdown. Tannehill throws a floater. It is incomplete. Intended for Clay, the tight end. And he's covered by the linebacker, Demario Davis.
And you got to give him a chance to make a play. We've seen Tannehill today miss a number of throws long. You've got to give Clay a chance.
As the Jets take over, now these are numbers you rarely see. Per drive, Miami has averaged 5 minutes and 45 seconds. The total for the Jets in terms of possession for the first half, 5:01.
Yeah, they haven't got anything going. That's really why I like Joe Philbin's decision to go for it in that situation, Marv, because the Jets haven't done anything offensively.
Chris Ivory just looking to find some room. Oh no, Geno Smith apparently on the quarterback sneak. Picked up short yardage. Coming up on the Verizon halftime report, Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of the Denver-Kansas City game from Jim Nantz and Phil Simms. We'll take a break. Just under 2 left, first half. Quarterback Geno Smith just 2 of 6, 18 yards thus far, 2 of 7 last week. What would you like to see from Geno Smith?
How about a first down? I mean, you just got to help your defense out at some point. While they're going on the field the entire first half.
Well, they almost had Chris Ivory. They're trying to push him back toward the end zone for a safety. Cameron Wake with the good play. And a timeout is called by Miami, their final timeout of the half. Jets with a 3rd and 8 from their 3-yard line.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him running here, Marv.
I think they'd fear Geno Smith throwing here.
That's the reason why. I just don't want him to turn it over.
As I say that, and as you agree, Geno fires one way off the mark. David Nelson was somewhere in the area. It has been another just brutal first half for the Jets offense.
Well, not only that, but now you stop the clock and you give the Dolphins plenty of time, 1 minute and 43. I mean, had you run the football there, you would have ran some time off the clock. Well, it's been an ugly first half of offensive football for the Jets.
Ryan Quigley from the back of his end zone put it out. Thigpen backpedals. He's hit immediately. Marcus Thigpen very casual as he made the catch on the punt, and Darren Walls downfield in a hurry with the good coverage.
This was a huge play by Darren Walls. I mean, pretty good punt, but excellent job getting Thigpen on the ground.
Quickly getting off a 50-yarder. So Miami takes over at its 46-yard line. Both these teams at 5 and 6. If the Jets win, first let's see a score for either club, they would go to 6 and 6 and still do not shape up well if it comes down to the tiebreakers. A little different story for Miami. They do have an edge over a couple of teams should they win and go 6 and 6. Here's Tannehill firing to the right. Able to hit play right at the marker for a first down. Dewan Landry on the coverage. It's a 10-yard gain. Here is a look at the AFC playoff picture. You see the division leaders, the wild cards as things stand on this first day of December. And in the hunt, you have 4 teams at 5 and 6, Pittsburgh 5 and 7. So you have to figure Cleveland and Buffalo would have to win out.
Yeah, I think really the winner here today walks out, with its postseason hopes still alive, whereas the loser can start thinking about next season.
Yeah, the loser, it's not exactly elimination, but about as close as you can come to that, as Tannehill just throws one away.
That's the right thing to do there. No one was open. Can't take a sack in that situation. I have seen growth with Tannehill. Now, again, Mark, we've been talking about some of the missed throws. But I think this kid's certainly benefited from all the playing time as a rookie last year. I think he's cleaned up a number of things in his game, and despite the record, I have seen a little more consistent performances from him. You look at it statistically, the completion percentage is better. He's thrown more touchdowns. He's been much better in these situations. Late in the half, late in the game, these 2-minute situations.
62% in terms of completions. He's thrown for 15 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The problem, the sacks, where he leads the NFL. Now he throws one over the middle, and it's caught by Clay. Charles Clay has been his favorite target, and that's a 28-yard pickup.
I really like Charles Clay. I mean, this guy does a lot of things well, and he's terrific with the ball in his hands after the catch.
Coming up on a minute left in the half, first down at the Jet 16-yard line. Now he angles one that is over the head of Hartline. He's looking to throw that away. Hartline well covered.
The Jets had a difficult time getting lined up back there, and you watch the safeties, and Ed Reed's been making some of the calls. Remember now, he's new to this some of the changes in the scheme since he's been with Rex back in their days together in Baltimore. And not only that, but Ed Reed has to get used to the players that he's playing alongside. terms of what they do well, who needs help, who can handle the tight end down the middle by themselves. Not an easy position for Ed Reed.
Ed Reed said he'll throw some Gatorade on himself if one of his teams comes up with a victory. 0-7 as a member of the Texans, 0-2 here with the Jets. Sideline pattern, and it's almost intercepted by Milliner stepping in front of Hartline. So they continue to go at the left corner, the rookie D. Milliner.
Well, Hartline runs the little stop route. Now what happens is Milner's got help from the safety, Ed Reed, over the top, so he can afford to sit on this. Tannehill has to see that throw.
3rd and 10 from the 16. 53 seconds remaining. First half. Tannehill looking right, throws end zone, and it is incomplete. Intended for Mike Wallace, was not given much room from Antonio Cromartie. And now here comes the field goal unit as Caleb Sturgis, who missed earlier from 41, will attempt from 34 yards away. Can there be a score in this first half? As an angle to the right, the kick by Sturgis is good. So Miami with a 3-0 lead, 44 seconds to play in the half. Well, Saturday it's the SEC Championship on CBS when Missouri goes up against Auburn. TV's #1 rated college football, the SEC, on CBS. And then in the Mountain West Championship, Utah State meets up with Fresno State. Big college doubleheader on Saturday. Rich, did you ever see a finish like yesterday's final seconds of the Auburn-Alabama game?
That was incredible. I mean, Auburn's Chris Davis returns a missed field goal attempt for a touchdown with time expired on the clock. I mean, it was just an incredible play, and of course it lifts number 4 Auburn to a 34-28 victory over Alabama. That was awesome yesterday. And of course, Missouri, they've had a great year. It's going to be a great matchup for the SEC Championship down in Atlanta.
A couple of teams that have really turned things around from a year ago. We're told that Josh Cribbs NFL history, so Kyle Wilson, 4-year man from Boise State, a first-round draft pick back in 2010, is back in his end zone. A little indecision there. He thought, hey, maybe I will run it out, and then decided
you might as well. I mean, if your offense can't do anything, maybe you can get a lift in the kicking game. Look at those numbers. My gosh, 2 of 7 for 18 yards. Geno Smith has failed to pass for more than 160 yards in his past 4 starts, Marvin. I mean, you've got to be able to find a way to generate some explosive plays offensively.
5 interceptions the last 2 games for Geno Smith. I mentioned earlier, 2 for 7 last week at halftime. The running back is Powell, and Smith flips it out. It's completed to Nelson, runs it out of bounds, has let's see where he stepped out. Close to the marker, but just short.
You know, at some point, you'd think that they'd have some discussions at halftime, Marty Morningwig, the offensive coordinator, and Rex Ryan, about what to do at the quarterback position. I mean, do you put Matt Sims in there? You know, he's had a chance of playing a couple games. He's actually fared well. You see Mark Sanchez talking with him, but if I'm Matt Sims, I'm getting ready.
2nd and a yard. And Smith's pass caught by Hill. Hill with his first catch and has the first down. Are you surprised that Rex Ryan stays with Geno Smith, or do you feel a decision from above is telling Rex, all right, let's ride with it, and we'll make a decision following the season on the quarterback scenario?
Well, let me say this. I don't believe that the starting quarterback of the 2014 Jets is currently on the roster. I don't see it. But I really believe that John Idzik, the general manager, this is This is a decision that he leaves with the coaching staff. They're going to play the best players they feel give them the best chance of winning. And right now, believe it or not, they think it's Geno Smith.
You really think they believe that? As he throws an intercept, it is picked off with time remaining. Ellaby with his second interception of the season. Donnell Ellaby, the middle linebacker, 5-year man out of Georgia, returns for 14, and once again you hear the boos from this crowd directed at Geno Smith.
Well, poor decision. I mean, trying to fit it in between the linebacker Ellaby and the safety Jimmy Wilson, and Ellaby's been a great addition in free agency.
With 22 seconds to go in the first half, first down at the Jet 44-yard line. Miami does not have any timeouts remaining. A 3-0 lead for the Dolphins. The running back is Lamar Miller. Tannehill looking to his left and has the first down. Good play by Hartline. Able to step out, stops the clock with 18 seconds remaining in the half.
Well, they still have a chance to complete the ball in the middle of the field and kick a field goal. And they have a chance to complete it there, and Tannehill get the offensive line and the team up there and clock the ball. So they have some options here. They don't necessarily have to work the boundary.
And this is within range for Caleb Sturgis, who has connected from the 54 and 52. Earlier missed from 41, hit from 34. Tannehill trying to get closer again. Sideline pass. That'll stop the clock. Charles Clay has had an outstanding first half. That's his 6th reception. Make it 7. 7 catches for 80 yards. Picked up 8.
Well, this is me. I'm going to take a shot at the end zone. I've got 13 seconds left. I'm going to take a shot at the end zone. If I don't get it, I know that we're well within Sturgis's range.
Well, Clay obviously short of the first down when he stepped out. It's a 2nd and 2. There's Tannehill going sideline, intended for Hartline. And we're down to 10 seconds from this spot. It's about a 43-yard attempt. And here he comes with 10 seconds to go. So Caleb Sturgis will attempt from 43. Sturgis, the rookie out of Florida, 5th-round draft pick. As I mentioned, he did miss earlier from 41. And the kick is good. And that has been the offense in this first half. 2 field goals, one from 41, one from 43, and we have 5 seconds remaining in the half.
If you're Rex Ryan, you've got to be frustrated to see him talking to Marty Morningway about what they're going to do in the second half. But the defense has actually played really well, and they've held them to a couple field goals. Offensively, they can't get anything going.
Looked like Rex here was thinking about taking a timeout in an attempt to did call it in time, apparently. Yeah, see Rex saying too late. Looking to affect the kicker, but did not indicate the timeout quick enough. Fantasy football fans get a fresh start with Player Challenge 4-week game that now includes even bigger cash prizes. See the rules. Sign up at cbssports.com/challenge. Kyle Wilson is back for the injured Josh Cribbs. And Sturgis puts it on the ground. And this will conclude matters in the first half. As Duzable with a short return. And here come the boos. That's the end of the half. Miami with a 6-0 lead on the Jets. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to the New Jersey Meadowlands not exactly an artistic first half of play. The Dolphins with a 6-0 lead on the Jets. One of the rare big plays of the first half. About 22 seconds remaining. Geno Smith picked off by Donnell Ellerbe. And this led to more boos from the crowd. Football like you've never heard it, presented to you by Sonos. And we did see Matt Sims warming up, looking as if he might be coming on in this second half for Geno Smith.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Mark. Just 39 yards of offense in the first half for the Jets, and they couldn't get anything going. Geno Smith looks like a fish out of water. We looked at the numbers the last month. He is struggling, and the Jets have no choice but to make a quarterback change.
Matt Sims, the younger son of a fellow by the name of Phil Sims, I've heard that name somewhere, and the brother of former NFL quarterback Chris Sims.
Well, the numbers aren't very pretty if you're a Jets fan, but the Dolphins thrown the ball 30 times already with Ryan Tannehill for 200 yards. Look at that, just 39 yards of offense. Look at time possession. 24 minutes and 12 seconds for the Dolphins. Jets get the ball to start the second half. They need to put together a long drive with Matt Sims.
And Antonio Cromartie is the deep man awaiting the kickoff. Josh Cribbs injuring his shoulder in the first half. And that's a big loss because he added much to whatever offense the Jets could hope for, not only as a return man, but also in the Wildcat, which we have not seen to this point. Here's Cromartie on the return. Able to get it to the 15-yard line. Jonathan Free makes the stop. And now Matt Sims hears it from this crowd as he comes on for Geno Smith, who struggled again, just 4 for 10, 29 yards. Matt Sims played well in preseason. Signed as an undrafted free agent. First-year player out of Tennessee. He's from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, which did not play a whole lot at the major college level. Started out at Louisville and then at Tennessee. Goes to the ground. Ivory tries the right side and picks up 4. Take a look at this to see Matt Sims making his way out of the locker room, a little psyched up, a little pumped.
He got out here early because he knew he was going to get the start in the second half and got some warm-up throws. And this is a great opportunity for Matt. You know, Geno Smith has not played well. Marv, we talked about the turnovers. This is a team that at 5 and 6 needs to do something special here in the second half to keep the playoff hopes alive.
Matt has done some mop-up completes to Greg Salas with short pickup.
Well, the one thing we know that Matt Sims can do is throw the football. I mean, I always say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His dad was a great passer, obviously, for the Giants, and Matt has got a big-time arm. He can throw the ball down the field. He can stretch this secondary.
He appeared in 2 blowout losses against Cincinnati and Buffalo, and overall 7 of 13 through a touchdown. Was not intercepted. Looking at a 3rd down and 5. Here they come. Sims able to hold for a while and then nearly picked off on a deflection. It was intended for Salas, covered by Jimmy Wilson, the nickelback.
Yeah, and just in talking to Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins, he said, regardless of which quarterback we've seen for how long, we're going to change up our looks. We're trying to disguise our intentions to kind of get these young quarterbacks unsettled, have them hold the football a little bit, make them make a bunch of post-snap reads as opposed to pre-snap reads.
5th punt for Ryan Quigley. So it's another 3 and out for the Jets. Marcus Thigpen. Thigpen goes sideline. Try to make the cut, but was hit down. Taken down by Ellis Leinster. 46-yard punt, 18-yard return, and a flag is down. Referee Mike Carey out of San Diego.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 29 of the receiving team. From the spot of the foul, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's on the
Timeout.
backup corner, rookie from Utah State, Will Davis. And we'll take a break. A minute and a half gone by here in the third. Well, Rich, this tells you how bad things have gone for the Jets. 3 wide receivers and a running back have either the same total of yards for the entire Jet team or have surpassed 43 yards.
Yeah, it's an ugly first half for the Jets offense, and now the Jets defense has to find a way to come up with a turnover. They need to do something here.
Lamar Miller on the run picks up 2 yards. Matt Sims coming on for Geno Smith, who had another poor performance in the first half. As you see, a Jet player is down. As we're headed to commercial, we saw a Jet player shaken up. Was Damon Harrison, nose tackle, second-year man out of William Penn. So we resume with Marcus Thigpen taking the handoff and running it out across the 40-yard line, run out by David Harris. It's a pickup of 4. Well, they call him Snacks. David Harrison enjoys the occasional extra snack. It should be pointed out at our production meeting yesterday. Rich demonstrating the same skill.
You know, whatever it takes.
Free food.
If it's free, it's for me.
Gillisley, the rookie from Florida, who's been used sparingly, has returned for the backfield and now providing protection as Tannehill's pass sails over the head of Hartline. Covered by Kyle Wilson.
Well, Kyle Wilson does a nice job. He's going to be running up the seam with Hartline, knowing that he has some help over the top from Ed Reed, so he's really in a trail technique. Would have been a tight one to fit in there for Ryan Tannehill.
First punt of the day for Brandon Fields, who averages just under 50 yards a pop. He leads the NFL in gross punting, as he did last year. And as I say that, it's a poor punt. Takes a nice hop and then carries out of bounds. Brandon Fields not warmed up. First punt of the day, 37 yards. The Jets with Geno Smith at quarterback in the first half, just 5 possessions. 4 of the 5, Rich, 3 and out.
Yeah, 3 and outs are demoralizing to an offense, and you know they've got to find a way to get something going here. Mark, you and I were just talking in the break. I think you got to be aggressive. You know, you can't treat Sims with kid gloves. Let him go out and play. Give him some opportunities early on these early downs.
Well, big hole there for Bilal Powell on first down. Koa Nisi, the outside linebacker, on the tackle.
Well, this guy right here has struggled, and this is not just today. Look at those numbers the last 3 weeks. I mean, just 8 completions and against New Orleans and Buffalo, 9 against Baltimore last week. And he's just not played well, and he can't keep holding the team back because of a lack of production and consistency at the quarterback position.
Nice move by Powell to pick up the first down. Vernon able to cover up, 4-yard advance for Powell. And Geno Smith actually grew up just minutes from Sun Life Stadium outside of Miami, but says he was not a Dolphins fan. And coming into today, over the last 6 games, only 1 touchdown pass and 10 interceptions. Another bad half here today. The end result, Matt Sims starting out in the second half. He has Chris Ivory in the backfield. This is Ivory picking his way. Goes for 3. Once again, Olivier Vernon on the stop.
This is why you make the change at quarterback. We've been talking about the struggles of Geno Smith. Last player with less than 10 completions in 4 straight starts. Got to go all the way back to 1988. Former Heisman Trophy winner out of Boston College and CFL star Doug Flutie. And the last 2 weeks, Marv, against Buffalo and Baltimore, it was the wind, it was the cold where he struggled, but the weather here today has been terrific.
2nd and 7 and a nice fake to get it to Powell, who has the first down. A little spark here in the running game at the start of the third quarter.
Well, this is huge. You've got to be able to run the football and run it downhill with Bilal Powell and Chris Ivory. I mean, this has to turn into an attitude game here for the Jets in the second half.
Stephen Hill is flanked wide to the right. The running back is Powell. And again, he fumbles, and it's recovered by Miami. Philip Wheeler, the Dolphins' leading tackler, 6-year player out of Georgia Tech, coming up with the football.
Well, there was some confusion between Sims and Bilal Powell. I don't believe that Bilal Powell was anticipating getting the football. You're going to see he puts it in there. Powell, he's starting to run. He's looking upfield. He thinks that the quarterback pulled it out. This is what happens when the two don't get snaps together in practice.
Back at MetLife, Marv Albert, Rich Gannon, a matchup of two teams still alive for a playoff berth, although this has not exactly been action-packed. We're 5 minutes into the third quarter. Lamar Miller able to turn the corner, broke a tackle, and now is taken out of bounds. Nice run. Ed Reed finally got to him, but Miller goes for 17 yards.
Yeah, Lamar Miller is going to break a tackle early. We've been talking about his speed around the edge. This is what he wants to do. And when he gets up on the second level, he can be a tough tackle.
Lamar Miller, second-year man from the University of Miami, a fourth-round draft pick last year. Grew up in Miami, averaging about 4 yards a carry. He's run well here this afternoon. Short set, Tannehill's pass, Hartline goes the distance. Touchdown, Dolphins. And as you can hear, a large contingent of Miami fans here in the New Jersey Meadowlands.
This is as simple as it gets. I mean, this is just a slant route, and you see some poor tackling in the secondary for the Jets. Some poor angles. Hartline's going to run the slant. Cromartie gets beat inside. He's going to miss. He tries to push him. Mario Davis misses, and Ed Reed takes a poor angle. It's not able to get Hartline on the ground.
31-yard touchdown pass play, 16th TD of the season thrown by Ryan Tannehill. Sturgis adding the extra point, just did get it off. Miami with a 13-0 lead. Moment ago, Brian Hartline, a 5-year man from Ohio State, coming up with his third touchdown catch of the season. 5 catches, 85 yards in all. Miami's leading receiver. Miami with a 13-0 lead as they look to even up the record at 6-6. Cromartie returning the kick. Cromartie, with his long strides, gets across the 30-yard line. Nice return. R.J. Stanford able to make the tackle. Well, this week, don't miss the show that's an elite by itself with guys who take on all 32 teams. That guy looked like Matt Sims. That's incredible. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth, along with the artistry of NFL films. Inside the NFL, the show the pros watch Wednesday at 9, only on Showtime. First down at the 39-yard line. This is Ivory with a change of direction and with open field. Ivory cutting and gets to the 35, just inside the 35, a 32-yard run. Combination of Vernon and Carroll make the tackle.
Yeah, he's going to get in the pile, and he's going to bunch. Breaks out to his left. Some poor tackling in that bunch. Look at Matt Sims. He's trying to get a block for Chris Ivory. Good effort by the young quarterback.
Chris Ivory, 4-year man. Tiffin. Hand off again to Ivory. Tiffin University in Tiffin, Ohio, it should be pointed out. I mentioned earlier Matt Sims did throw a touchdown a couple of weeks back in Buffalo. Here it is. Jeff Cumberland, the tight end, on the receiving end of a 13-yard pass play. We always refer to Matt Sims as Phil's son. It should be pointed out it's actually Phil and Diana's son. I just want to, make mention because I didn't want to be accused of sexism.
You can't do that. No. You never forget your first touchdown throw. That's something you always remember as a pro.
Again, it's Ivory on the handoff. Ivory running well. Ivory a question mark for today because of a sprained right ankle. Goes for 8 more.
Yeah, they really need to be able to run the football, but yet Miami has struggled a little bit. They haven't played the run as well the last 5 weeks, giving up almost 150 yards a game. When you're trailing 13-0, it makes it a little bit more difficult for Marty Morningweg to be patient with the running game.
3rd and less than a yard, just outside the 25. And again, the handoff to Ivory. It has the first down. Stopped by Philip Wheeler. So the Jets with a good-looking drive. Let's see where it takes them. It is update time. Let's go to JB and Shannon Sharp.
As Shannon said, Houston was driving.
9 plays, 80 yards, capped off by a 5-yard TD run. Quarterback Case Keenum. The Texans retake the lead, 24-21 over the Pats.
2:11 left in the 3rd. Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
All right, guys. First down for the Jets. Ivory gets the call once again. Wheeler and Nisi make the stop. Chris Ivory, quiet from New Orleans for a 4th-round draft pick. Averaged 5 yards a carry in limited action as a member of the Saints. Look at those numbers. Which the Jets have improved here in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 10. Sims will throw. He fires a bullet that is broken up. Broken up by the free safety, Chris Clemens. Intended for Stephen Hill in the end zone.
Well, he was trying to jam this one in there, but he never feels the safety down the middle. And Clemens is just sitting on that one the whole way. Got a little bit of a break there, but this Clemens sees Sims the whole way and is able to drive on Stephen Hill.
Sims looking at a 3rd and 10 at the Miami 23-yard line. Takes a deep drop. Steps up, fires, right on target for the first down and more. David Nelson sets up a 1st and goal at the 5.
Well, David Nelson turns to his left and not to his right. He may score here. And you're going to see how far off Will Davis is. He gets turned around now. When Nelson catches this, look at all the room he has. If he would have turned back over his left shoulder, he probably scores.
An 18-yard gain, 1st and goal at the 5. The running back is Powell. Hand off to Powell. Trying to duck under. Deion Jordan making the tackle. Powell goes for 3. Sims opening up 2 of 4, 18 yards. 1 turnover on a miscalculation in terms of the handoff to Powell. 9th play of the drive. 2nd and goal. Off the fake, he throws on the run and is broken up and almost picked off. Pass intended for the tight end Jeff Cumberland. Rashad Jones, the strong safety on the coverage.
Well, watch Jones. He's right here. He's going to grab the tight end right there. He's going to tug him a little bit just to catch up, and the officials don't see it. Of course, Cumberland's looking for the holding penalty, but they never see it.
Chris Ivory returns to the backfield. Tommy Mohamed in front of him at the fullback position for this 3rd and goal at the 3. There's Ivory. They stack him up. No gain on the play. Chris Clemens, the free safety, on the stop.
I think you got to kick the field goal here. Look, you've been struggling. You haven't scored a point. The entire game, and you've got to be able to come away with something.
You heard the reaction from the crowd. It's a 4th and goal at the 2. But Nick Folk will come on and attempt a 20-yarder. 24 of 25 for the season. And Folk puts it through. So the Jets finally on the board. 4.5 remaining in the third. A 13-3 lead for the Dolphins. Now to the enormously popular Rich Gannon's history lesson, a memorable play that longtime Jet fans will not forget. The fake spike by Dan Marino, which led to the touchdown pass to the wide receiver Mark Ingram. The Jet defense stood motionless, and the Dolphins win it 28-24. That's almost to the day, November 27, 1994. I'm sure in the studio, Dan enjoying getting another view of that. Chris Ivory, very effective on this Jet drive that did lead to the field goal. Marcus Thigpen is now back deep. It's a 13-3 lead for Miami. 4.5 remaining in the third quarter. And he will run it out. Thigpen broke a tackle. And across the 40-yard line, poor coverage by the Jets. Juan Landry finally able to get to him. A 50-yard return by Thigpen. Tomorrow on CBS, People's Choice Award nominee Melissa McCarthy and Billy Gardell will star in a new episode of the hit comedy Mike and Molly. That's tomorrow at 9, 8 Central only. CBS.
Well, the Dolphins have been the beneficiaries of some really good starting field position throughout the course of this game. The ball on 44.
The running back is Lamar Miller. Ryan Tannehill out of the shotgun. They're going to go underneath. Deion Sims on the reception. Picks up 8. Update time, JB and Shannon.
However it's to be done, Tennessee got it done.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, play fake, 1-yard TD pass to Chris Johnson. Titans on top 14-12 over the Colts.
Marv, that looked a little bit like a jump hook there. Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
All right, JB. 2nd and 2. Miller remains in the backfield. See the numbers on Tannehill. Miller trying to pick up a blocker, could not. David Harris making the tackle. It's a loss of a yard.
This Jets defensive line has got a chance to be really, really good. They got a chance to be dominant. They're so young and talented inside. You know, Richardson's just 22 years old. Wilkerson and Harrison are just 24. Rex is really excited about the potential of this group.
Sheldon Richardson named the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Month for November. 2nd pick on the first round by the Jets, 13th overall out of Missouri. 3rd down and 3. Tannehill able to stand in and has a first down. Completes with Hartline. 6-yard hookup. Landry there to make the tackle.
They've run a number of in-breaking routes with Hartline and Wallace. Hartline's just going to go up. He's in the slot. He's just going to go up 5 yards and work inside. A really nice job attacking in the middle of the field.
And you mentioned Damon Harrison. Good to see him back on the field. He was shaken up earlier in this third quarter. Tannehill looking left and now goes over the middle. Another Miami first down. Rashard Matthews able to make the catch. That's good for 13.
Well, Ryan Tannehill has done a really nice job mixing things up. He's going to start to his left. It's not there. He's able to wheel right back and find Rashard Matthews. I mean, you look at what they've done offensively. They've mixed in the 3-step game, the quick throws from Tannehill. We've seen some quarterback movement where they've changed the launch spot. Done a good job chipping with their backs and tight ends. We've seen some empty. He's run for a first down. He has really played well in this game.
Go, go!
This time the handoff to Thigpen. And again, it's Landry able to make the stop. Picked up A couple. So earlier we're talking about Jet coaches saying that Tannehill does not use his eyes properly, will look left, stay left, might look right and then go right, but what you're indicating, not the case. He is shuffling things around.
He's done a nice job coming off the primary, not getting stuck in the primary and finding those outlet receivers in rhythm.
2nd and 8 at the Jet 28.
Here comes some pressure.
Here they come, and Tannehill gets it away, and it is caught. Mike Wallace, touchdown. A missed tackle by D. Milliner as Wallace was able to spin away and go for 28 for the score.
Well, Rex Ryan told us on Friday that they're playing a little more coverage than he really wants to, but they brought pressure. And when you bring pressure, you're playing man-to-man coverage with no safety help over the top. Mike Wallace breaks the tackle, and he's into the back of the end zone. Really nice recognition there by Ryan Tannehill. He saw the blitz, he got it out quickly.
Well, this is the score. The Jets lost to Baltimore was last week. Point after makes it 20-3 with 1:02 left in the third.
Well, you could see the pressure coming, and again, you're seeing all up inside. Now before, look how far off they're playing. He knows he has single coverage with no safety in the middle of the field. So he throws that little hitch route out there. Poor tackle again by Milner. And of course, Wallace does the rest. He has really come on for the Dolphins here the last 3 weeks.
Third touchdown of the season for Wallace, signed as a free agent following the 4 years as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Put up big numbers with Pittsburgh.
And with the addition of Mike Wallace this season, the Dolphins have seen a lot less man-to-man coverage, a lot more two-deep zone coverage, especially on the early downs because of his speed and the threat of him running by in the secondary. And just having him out there really opens things up for everybody else on that Miami offense.
And an excellent drive engineered by Ryan Tannehill. He went 4 of 4 for 55 yards in all. Tannehill now 23 of 36, 289 yards, and Rex Ryan having a chat with the rookie, D. Milliner.
No, they're not tackling well in the secondary. I mean, it's not just Milliner. Marty's missed some tackles. Ed Reed, a 4-day tackling for that secondary.
Here's Cromartie on the return, finds the opening. Lucky to hold on to the ball. You could see several Miami players trying to knock it out of his hand, but he goes for 31. And the Jets back in possession as you look at the AFC playoff picture in terms of the wild card. And in the hunt, you have the Titans, Chargers, Jets, and Miami all at 5 and 6 coming into today. Steelers with the loss on Thanksgiving, 5 and 7. And Cleveland and Buffalo mathematically still alive, but very tough.
All those teams we just looked at, Marvin, the hunt, have issues. I mean, whether it's quarterback, backup quarterbacks playing, run defense, they all have something they're dealing with.
Ivory, down tackle. No gain on the play. Set for an update. Let's go back to JB and Shannon.
Seesaw in Houston. Yes, the Pats retake the lead. A 7-yard TD run by the Winnebago LeGarrette Blount. 28-24. Pats on top of the Texans.
Back to Marv and Rich.
Well, the Texans trying to hang in against the Patriots. 2nd down and 10. Sims in trouble. Down he goes. A sack by Koa Nisi as this third quarter comes to an end.
Well, the running back gets rolled over. I mean, that was a poor job by Chris Ivory. He gets walked right into Sims.
And that will conclude the third quarter. Dolphins 20, Jets 3 will return to the New Jersey Meadowlands after this message and a word from your local station. Fourth quarter getting underway. The Jets without a touchdown now over the last 7 quarters.
That is ugly. Who are the big players that they have? I mean, you look at the lack of talent at the skill positions. Tight end, wide receiver, and running back, Marv, not a single Pro Bowler in the bunch.
And due to injuries, they've lost some of their better players. Jeremy Curley has not played the last 3 weeks. Santonio Holmes has been hurt. Another sack of Sims. This time it is Olivier Vernon. And for Miami, their 3rd sack of the day.
Well, they love these double A gap pressures where they put 6 men up there. They sometimes drop, and this time they come, and Vernon just swings right around. He's virtually touched going to Matt Sims.
So Ryan Quigley will punt from his goal line. This is Thigpen. He's run well, and this time taken down from behind. Ellis Langster able to get to him. 53-yard punt, just an 8-yard return. Ryan Tannehill back on the field. Coming up next, it'll be Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos going up against Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs for the top of the AFC West, or the Bengals go up against the Chargers. Check your local listings.
Yeah, I don't know that a lot changes in 2 weeks. Chiefs lost at Denver 27-17. They didn't pressure Peyton Manning.
Swing pass for Wallace, who lost on the play.
And getting back to the Chiefs in Denver, I don't know that a lot changes in 2 weeks. The Broncos score a lot of points. The Chiefs don't. And Justin Houston, Tamba Hali, both banged up last week. And this is a defense that's given up 68 points in the last 2 weeks. And in that first meeting against Manning and the Broncos, they didn't sack Peyton Manning a single time. In fact, they didn't hit him once, Marv, during that game. I think it's going to be a tough one at home for the Chiefs.
Second down play, and the sideline pattern to Mike Wallace. Stopped by Darren Walls. That's good for 5. Let's get back to JB and Shannon.
Houston won't quit. No, JB, they retake the lead. This is the play that sided up. Case Keenum, DeAndre Hopkins, 66-yard catch and run would lead to a 10-yard TD run by Ben Tate, 31-28. Texans on top of the pass.
11:28 in the 4th. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, JB. It's a 3rd down and 3 at midfield. And Tannehill had the pass knocked down. Muhammad Wilkerson, who goes about 6'4", 315 pounds, able to get to that Tannehill attempt.
Well, for what it's worth, this kid's having a Pro Bowl type season. You just see him pushing, gets that left hand up. 10 sacks already for Muhammad Wilkerson. He is a handful up front.
In his 3rd year out of Temple, in fact, 10 sacks, the most by any Jet since John Abraham had 10.5. That was back in 2005. Second punt for Brandon Fields. That first only 37 yards, and this a boomer. Fair catch made by Kyle Wilson. So we'll take a break with 2 minutes gone by in the 4th. Miami in command. Jets back in possession, about to start from their 14-yard line. Jets have dropped their last 2, 3 of their last 4. They have not won a game since early November. Sims trying to go short range to Powell. Brings up a 2nd and 10.
They're making the easy plays look difficult. I mean, this is tough. And in fairness to Matt Sims, Marv, you coming into a difficult situation. You look at the numbers, the quarterback comparison, and we haven't seen enough of Matt's body of work. But he didn't get any reps all week. All those reps went to Geno Smith, and so he's out there. And I'm looking at the statistics. Santonio Holmes doesn't have a single catch. He hasn't been on the field much.
There's Powell, able to go the middle.
What the Jets haven't been able to do is get the wide receivers involved in the passing game. And when you don't throw the ball on the perimeter, the field shrinks. And I've been mentioning this to you during the break, is that the Miami secondary has gotten a free pass. They haven't even had to play today because no one has challenged them. No one's gone after them. And that's a mistake. If you're Marty Morningway, you've got to make these guys on the perimeter work.
Well, don't you think it's the fact that they don't trust their receivers? So many guys have either been injured or, as they say, off the streets. Powell, the intended receiver, in a most unusual statistic when you look at what Geno Smith has had to work with, and obviously he's had his problems. There are 17 Jets who have at least one reception.
Well, it tells you that they don't have that go-to guy. I mean, Jeremy Curley, who's not even active today, is their leading receiver with 28 catches. 28 catches! I mean, that's incredible.
Once again, here's the punting unit line quickly, who booted from his 4. Thigpen with a fair catch. The Jet wide receivers here this afternoon with a total of what? 3, 4, 6 catches. That's been it. Talking about the lack of production from Jet receivers. How about no receiving touchdowns since back in Week 7 against New England? That was Jeremy Curley, who has missed the last 3 games because of injury. Miami with a 20-3 lead. Tannehill in trouble and throws it away. Some pressure from Muhammad Wilkerson.
You know, we've been talking about all the struggles the Jets have had at the quarterback position, and probably haven't talked enough about how well Ryan Tannehill has played. I mean, 25 of 39, 295 yards, a couple touchdowns. Done a good job changing plays at the line of scrimmage, getting the ball out quick, throwing it away when it's not there. He's really done a really nice job, showing great poise on the road.
And as you could see, Tannehill, apparently someone ran into his throwing arm, his throwing hand. He's trying to shake it off as Lamar Miller picks up the first down.
Yeah, speaking of Ryan Tannehill, I mean, he's done a really nice job, you know, getting everybody involved, spreading the ball around, and really attacking in the middle of the field. You see the slant, the heart line. He breaks a couple tackles. He goes for the touchdown. He goes for a touchdown. Come right back inside, working Heartline, working Rashard Matthews, and then real good recognition on the blitz, kicking it out quickly to Mike Wallace and allowing him to do the rest.
And right guard John Jerry of Miami, shake it up for your man from Ole Miss. So we will take a break. Sam Brenner has come on for the right guard John Jerry, who is shaken up and is back on the Miami sideline. Brenner, a rookie out of Utah. Favorable spot for the Jets. It was actually a 3rd and about a yard for Miami. 11.5 remaining in this 4th quarter. Big hole for Lamar Miller, and he has a first down. He's taken down by David Harris. Miller goes for 5. If the Dolphins hang on for the victory, they go to 6-6. And you look at tiebreakers with Miami, they would have the tiebreaker against San Diego, beat the Chargers a couple of weeks ago, and Baltimore would have the tiebreaker against Miami. Even if the Jets won this game, they are not in good shape in terms of tiebreakers, if it comes down to that, in either case. First down at the Jet 47-yard line. Miller again gets inside the 45. Wilkerson and Harris able to make the stop. 3-yard pickup. Look ahead for Joe Philbin's Dolphins next week. They play at Pittsburgh, then back home for New England. Game at Buffalo, and they'll finish at home against the Jets.
Yeah, 3 of those final 4 games, divisional games, and I think Joe Philbin has done a really terrific job. Marv, you and I have talked about some of the adversity that they've had to deal with the situation with Incognito, and Jonathan Martin's done a good job keeping things together.
Tannehill completing to Hartline. Hartline is 8th reception. Short pickup, about 3.
Miami's offensive line, I think, has really played well in this one. We've been talking about the changes that they've had to make up front. And Sam Brenner just came in for John Jerry, and yet they've really done a nice job. This is a very good defensive line that they faced today with the Jets, a #1 run defense, and yet you look at where they're at and have almost 400 yards of offense.
Brenner actually started at left guard the last 2 games. He's up from the practice squad with Nate Garner moving over to center with the absence of the injured Mike Ponce. A little spin attempt by Hartline, but he does pick up the first down.
Well, they bring pressure. You're going to see it to the right, and they're going to be one short. Nice job by the back, Cross Keen. He works all the way across the formation. He does a nice job scanning and taking the hit off of Ryan Tannehill.
Well, for Ryan Tannehill, his 4th 300-yard game this season, most by a Dolphin quarterback since Dan Marino.
This is where you see Tannehill. He's been changing the play. He's very involved in the run game.
Tannehill off play action. Hartline sets up a 1st and goal. Ellis Langster was able to get to him, but it's a 24-yard pass play, and the Dolphins again on the doorstep.
Well, Hartline wore out the rookie D. Milner, so they get him out of there. Now he's going after Ellis Langster, the veteran, and look how far off he is. Hartline has done a really nice job getting his depth and running some really precise routes for Tannehill.
9 catches, 127 yards, including a touchdown for Hartline. 62 receptions for this season, the Dolphins' leading receiver. Hand off to Miller, and he's brought down inside the 5.
Well, this Jets defense to me looks like it's wearing down, Marvin. We've been talking about time of possession. I mean, it's amazing. They've been on the field for almost 35 minutes in this game. Didn't get any breaks for their offense. Good look at Dennis Thurman, the defensive coordinator, along with Rex Ryan. He's trying to hold on.
2nd and goal at the 4-yard line.
28! Go, go!
Good portion of this crowd has dispersed as Miller takes it in. Touchdown, Miami. Lamar Miller with his 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, he's not the biggest back, but he runs hard and he just lowers his shoulder and his head and able to lean forward. I'm not sure if his knee wasn't down. That one, sure they'll take a look at that one. All scoring plays, obviously, but it looked to me that right knee may have been down.
On the field, it was called a touchdown, but they will review it.
We'll review the final play with instant replay.
Let's keep an eye on that. It's actually the left knee. Yeah, I think he's down.
All right, as they check it out upstairs, we will step away. See the referee Mike Carey awaiting for the word from upstairs as they review Lamar Miller's quest to get across the goal line.
I don't know that it's definitive. I mean, you can't really tell where the knee is down. I mean, we could assume based on him lunging forward like that he's a little bit short, but I never really went and looked at it at a couple different angles. I can't tell whether or not the left knee is all the way down. Right there, you see what happens is Wilkerson's or Sheldon Richardson's right knee comes in, and then you kind of, both pant legs you lose them. Right there, you maybe would assume that knee is down, but again, I don't know that it's definitive. Let me just say that knee is down, and then he lunges forward, maybe just inside the 1.
After review, the runner was down at the half-yard line by contact. 2nd and goal on the 1.5-yard line. The clock is good.
Well, apparently that is the way They saw it upstairs, exactly what you were saying. So it's placed at the half-yard line. And it'll be 2nd and goal. Make it 3rd and goal.
This is where you don't have Daniel Thomas, your bigger back, and Lamar Miller has been that guy today, and he's actually run pretty well between the tackles. 21 carries, 72 yards. But the thing that I like, Marv, is that he's been decisive and he's been willing to smack it up in there for the tough yards.
And he's turned it around from last week in the Carolina game.
Too many negative runs last week. We haven't seen that today from Lamar Miller.
So Miller, the featured back.
48! Go, go!
Miller, let's see. He's short of the goal line.
It's a really good play by Dewan Landry. Just watch him. He's going to come screaming out of the middle of your screen and safety. He's just right there in the hole. He makes the initial hit.
So here comes Caleb Sturgis to attempt the field goal. He missed from 41. He's hit from 34 and 43. This is a 19-yard attempt. So he puts it right through. And with just under 6 minutes to play in this 4th quarter, the Dolphins with a 23-3 lead. Let's take another look at the AFC playoff rundown. The division leaders, Denver, New England, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, wild card at the moment, Kansas City and Baltimore. And you see teams in the hunt. Unless there is a miraculous turn here over the final 6 minutes, Miami will go to 6-6.
And look at that log jam. Isn't that amazing, Mark, to see that? 7 teams. 7 teams still in the hunt. But they're starting to run out of time. You get into December, you got to be playing your best football, and too many of those teams that are in the hunt aren't doing that right now.
Well, as you know, the league always loves the parity aspect, and they certainly have it once again. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the NFL Today update presented by Aflac. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. Meanwhile, the Jets next week home for the Raiders, and then at Carolina, back home for Cleveland, and then at Miami. Antonio Cromartie once again is back deep. Josh Cribbs went out in the first half with an injured shoulder. Cromartie getting a running start on it. Once again, a nice return across the 30-yard line. Goes for 33. Set for an update. Let's go to JB and Shannon Sharp.
Coming up in the second half of our doubleheader here on CBS, Peyton Manning smarting from last week's loss to New England, looking to bounce back against the Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith showing he can toss it downfield, looking to help snap a 2-game losing streak. Each team looking to take sole possession of the AFC West. That's coming up here on CBS. Back to Marv and Rich.
All right, thank you, JB. Look at the AFC West. And here is Sims completing across the 40-yard line, connecting with Kellen Winslow for 9. Matt Sims coming on for Geno Smith at the start of the 3rd quarter. They go no huddle. Matt Sims, one-year man from Tennessee, started his collegiate career at Louisville. Did not play that much on the major college level. Chris Ivory breaking tackles and has the first down. And the question is next week, Rich, who do you start at quarterback?
Well, that's always the tough question, I think, for a coaching staff. And I'm sure that Rex and Marty Morningway, the offensive coordinator, will sit down and evaluate where they go from here. I think you got to stick with Sims. I mean, Geno Smith Marv, you've seen enough of his body of work, I think, over the last 5 weeks to say that maybe he's lost his confidence a little bit, and maybe find out what you've got.
A little bit.
Well, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Let's find out what you got with Matt Sims. And, you know, when you look at this offense, and it's not just today, but it's throughout the course of the season, you always look at pass distribution. Where are the balls winding up? And they're winding up in the hands of the running backs and tight ends as opposed to the wide receivers. And that's a problem. The Jets have to find a way to get these guys more involved.
Sims on a short set, able to complete for a first down. David Nelson, one-time Buffalo Bill, 4-year man from Florida, picks up 10.
The thing that has hurt them is that they have missed so much practice time. Stephen Hill's been nursing a knee and a foot injury. Santonio Holmes been battling a hamstring injury. And when you don't practice and you've got young quarterbacks playing, that's a recipe for disaster.
On the screen, Powell takes tackles and then is taken down. Rashad Jones makes the stop. It's a 20-yard pass play. Mentioned that the Jet schedule. You see the final 4 next week home for the Raiders.
Yeah, but all 3 of those teams, actually all 4 of those teams, the Raiders are a lot better defensively, Marv. You and I have seen them a bunch this year. Carolina's tough. Cleveland, of course, they've got to play this Miami team again in week 17.
And Sims taken down once again. This time it's Vernon. 4th sack of the game for Miami. And Vernon with 2.5 sacks. Olivier Vernon, second-year player from the University of Miami.
The ball almost comes out. He's lucky to be able to hold on to it. Vernon has really played well, and they've done a nice job moving him around up front. This is when it's fun, you know, if you're a Dolphins player. I mean, it's late in the game. They have to throw the football. This is where you get your sacks. This is where you pad your sack total.
Timeout is called by the Jets as they line up for a 2nd and 18 from the 20th. Their first timeout of the second half. Well, the executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Harold Bryant. Today's game produced by Jim Rickoff, directed by Jim Cornell, Vice President of Remote Production of CBS Sports, Steve Karasik. The coordinator producer of the NFL on CBS is Lance Barrow, Vice President of Studio Production. Tyler Hale, the NFL Today, produced by Drew Kaliski and Bob Matina. Associate directors of today's game, Andy Freeman and Brian Jagoda. And the broadcast associates, Ade Ellis and Dave Keating. Technical manager, Dick Mura. The technical director, Tom Kautz. And the audio supervisor, Evil Thornton.
Our guy, Evil.
We have more. Wait a second. Stats provided by Russ Flynn and John Gwynn, and the spotter, Mike Bazemore. It is dropped by Nelson. Wide open. Let me read that card one more time.
Well, there have been way too many drops so far this season for the Jets, and they had about a half dozen last week in the loss to Baltimore. And when you've got young quarterbacks who are struggling, that doesn't make the situation any easier.
Now, Rich, Miami has had a terrific second half, led by Ryan Tannehill and the running of Lamar Miller. Ryan Hartline has played well. Mike Wallace has played well. The defense has done the job. But you look at as Sims fires for the end zone, and it was incomplete, intended for Nelson. But you talked about all the injuries, particularly in the receiving core for the Jets. But even if many of these guys were healthy, they do not have top-notch talent.
No, they really don't. You look at Nelson, he's a guy that got off the street. Brent Grimes has really played well in the secondary for the Dolphins. And, you know, you look at Rex in 5 seasons, and looking back, Marv, he's played with inexperienced quarterbacks. Started with Sanchez as a first-rounder. This year, it's Geno Smith, a second-rounder. It is hard to win with young, inexperienced quarterbacks.
Well, it did pretty well first couple of years with Sanchez. They go to the AFC Championship game. Sims' pass. Did he pick it off? Yes, he did. Brent Grimes, the left corner, who's had a tremendous season. Able to come up with his 4th interception of the year.
Well, we just mentioned Brent Grimes and how well he has played. He's been their most consistent performer in the secondary. I think he's really had a solid year. You see Sims get outside, and he's anticipating that Stephen Hill's going to come back. Instead, it's Brent Grimes that comes back to the football, makes the aggressive play, and Grimes doesn't give up very many big plays when you study the tape of him this season.
3rd turnover committed by the Jets. Miami takes over at their 20-yard line. Now, several weeks back, I think the feeling was that Rex Ryan was on the hot seat, and then things got a little better until they dropped 2 in a row, and then the 3 or 4, and it's hard to tell as Mike Gillislee gets the call.
You know, he's a good football coach, Marv, and the problem is that it's hard to be a great football coach when you don't have production and consistency week in and week out at the quarterback position, and that has been his downfall in the 5 years that he has been the head coach of the New York Jets.
And there is Mark Sanchez. Jets taking a timeout. Sanchez on injured reserve. There were questions about being asked why did he play in that preseason game and then got hurt.
It's never a good thing when you throw more interceptions than touchdowns. I do know that.
Well, Sanchez said the other day that he hopes to return to the Jets next season, but with his contract and last year's performance, not that Geno Smith has been more effective, I would think Mark will be elsewhere.
I think there's a good chance that Mark is going to be elsewhere. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to go to the back of the pack and start over again. And I just don't think that Mark Sanchez is going to get the opportunity to remain here in New York.
2nd down and 4. Gillislee works his way to the 30, right to the marker, met by Demario Davis. And a timeout is taken.
Well, this really tells the story, Mark. I've been talking about the lack of production and consistency at the quarterback position. Look at these numbers the last 3 seasons and the NFL rank. Most turnovers this year, the most last year, and the 2nd most in 2011. I mean, you can't win when the quarterback doesn't take care of the football. And that's been the problem here in New York. Ball security issues, whether it's been the fumbles, ball security in the pocket, or just simply throwing it to the other team too often. I told you I learned my lesson early as a pro. I was told by Marty Schottenheimer in Kansas City, if you don't protect the football, you won't play here in Kansas City.
That's an excellent point. Don't throw the ball to the other team. I got it. Gillislee is stopped right at the line. So Miami will go to 6-6, very much alive in the race for a playoff spot as they do look to the Steelers in Pittsburgh next week, followed by that home game against New England. Not an easy schedule, and the Jets will drop to 5-7 with 3 straight losses, 4 of their last 5. They are not mathematically eliminated, but it would take a miraculous series of events to get near a playoff spot. We're down to 2.5 remaining. And again, Gillislee is getting an opportunity here today, making his NFL debut, 5th-round draft pick out of Florida. Penalty marker is down.
Delay, defense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd.
Well, they're calling it a delay. It was actually Sheldon Richardson who spiked the ball after the play was over.
He's just frustrated. He's like the rest of this Jets defense. I mean, been out in the field all day. They don't get any help from their offense. Look at Sheldon Richardson there. His quickness for a man his size is rare at that position. 72 tackles already for the rookie. He's going to be a really, really good player once he figures it out.
Miami has had the football for nearly 38 minutes. The Jets about 20 minutes.
Most of them coming in the second half.
Marcus Thigpen returns to the backfield. This is Thigpen. As we come up on 2 minutes remaining of the game, DeJuan Landry made the stop. No gain for Thigpen. So 2 minutes to go. It has been all Miami. They're up 23-3. 2 minutes to go in this fourth quarter, and the third punt coming up for Brandon Fields, who leads the NFL, averaging just under 50 yards per punt. Kyle Wilson is back at his 10. Miami with a 23-3 lead as they break it open in the second half. Couple of field goals in the first half by the Dolphins. That was it.
Go, 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 go.
And here is Wilson. He's got an angle to the left. And has no running room at all. 53-yard punt. And run out by Austin Spittler. And this is an up-to-date look at playoff picture in New England with the victory over Houston, now 9-3. And they do have the tiebreaker against Denver by virtue of their victory over the Broncos. And as you see, Miami at 6-6, so on top in the hunt category.
New England finally beat Houston. That was a back and forth game in Houston. They moved to 9-3.
Jets have used all three of their timeouts. This is all academic at this point. Pass intended for Stephen Hill. You look around the stadium now, and people started to leave right after the third quarter, including your mom, I noticed, who took it all in. She just left.
Did.
But this looks like one of those open scrimmages for a team.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, the play of the offense was really disappointing. And you thought that maybe once they made the change at quarterback that something would happen, but they just have not been able to get anything going on the early downs. And of course, they've not been able to convert on third downs either. Just 2 of 11 on third downs today.
Sims able to complete to Powell for just a couple of yards. Matt Sims coming on for Geno Smith. And Sims just 8 of 17, 76 yards. Intercepted once. Geno Smith first half could get out a thing going. 4 for 10, 29 yards. Sims in trouble. And runs it out at the 19. And I'm told coming up we'll have some bonus coverage of the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. And later on, it's the Broncos and the Chiefs, or the Bengals and Chargers. Check your local listings. See the game in your area. Swing pass, Powell. Bumped out of bounds. Just a couple on that. Jonathan Freeney was right there to make the stop. As time runs down, 36 seconds to play. And coming up next, as I mentioned, after the bonus coverage, Denver at Kansas City and Cincinnati at San Diego. The Jets, with their third straight loss, 4 of their last 5. And you're looking at scores in the 3 straight losses of 37-14 at Buffalo, 19-3 last week at Baltimore. Miami evens up the record at 6-6. The Jets fall to 5-7. A 23-3 victory for the Dolphins over the Jets. So now it's time for NFL Today Update, presented by Aflac. For Rich Gannon, Marv Albert, saying so long from the Meadowlands. An outstanding game for Ryan Tannehill, 28 of 43, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Miller runs 22 times for 72 yards. So long from the New Jersey Meadowlands. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Now to James Brown in New York.